Hi, it's 2:30 a.m. I've just finished reading the episode. So a bit of context, we shot this episode in February, but there's been so much of audio issues and video issues with the entire episode that it's taken a fair amount of time to release. As a result, a lot of the other episodes that we recorded much later have come through. But we're finally getting this out. It's not perfect. I'm sorry. I've done what I can with the episode. The audio does lag in a bit in a few places. We've all had internet issues. We all had some sort of, uh, you know, video related issues along the way. But the episode is a lot of fun. Like, it is for anyone who's a fan of sports films, is a fan of the genre in general. We discuss a range of films across the board, not just from Hollywood, but we also do a bit of Bollywood as well. So it's just around about 50 minutes, and I once again felt like I had to put out an apology because this doesn't usually happen with our episodes. So please bear with us. This is just a one-off. We'll be back to a regular scheduled programming with the coming episodes. We've got a whole bunch of things planned, so stay tuned and thank you. And sorry once again.
Coming up on this week's episode,
Personal favorite trashy movies, Dhan Goal.
it has the argument for the best shot in a sports movie ever.
It's nostalgia that's making me feel that this movie was better than it is.
Hello again. Welcome back to a brand episode of Two Plays. I'm your host, Davin.
And I'm your co-host Rohit.
So, what we're doing, and this kind of came up last week or the week before as I was watching the Kevin Costner film Draft Day, and it occurred to me that we'd never done an episode on sports movies. And I also, in parallel, run a sports podcast called Who Scored Again, which is more football focused. And I've Sid, who's my co-host on that podcast, loves sports films. It's one of his favorite genre of films. And I just reached out to him saying, hey, dude, why don't we do this as an episode? And I not only reached out to him, I reached out to Rohit, obviously, who kind of at this point agrees to most things I say. And I also put out like a suggestion on Instagram saying, you know what, hey guys, what's your favorite sports film? And the response was so insane. It just further cemented the fact that we needed to do this episode. So this is the sports movies episode. Honestly, from purely from a football perspective, this is a much more nicer and calmer space to talk about sports and football without having to like actually delve into the reality of what is happening in the fucking sport. The more I talk, the more enraged I'm getting. So in the interest of my sanity and everyone's, let's start the show. So there's a lot of suggestions came in from a lot of people, not just including our own. Like outside this bubble also, there were a bunch of films that came in, some which are on our list, some which are not. But I kind of want to run through some of the honorable mentions. Okay, some movies clearly are like, there's a big fan following, but I just haven't seen. Some I've seen. Oh yeah, and also I need to like add this as a disclaimer before we begin. We will not be discussing boxing fighting movies in this episode because if we do, the entire episode becomes like a Rocky tribute or a so on and Raging Bull, whatever it is. It will just take over the episode, and I feel that needs a separate episode for itself. So there will be no
Basically
boxing.
restraining myself from yelling Adrian right now.
There's no Southpaw, which is a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
with
Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Yes. So a lot of boxing films, and kind of didn't want to spend some time like kind of give it its own episode. But everything else that's on here, we'll definitely check out. Some honorable mentions go to Peanut Butter Falcon, which you would not think is a sports movie. It's about a boy and like about a boy with Down syndrome who's a huge wrestling fan and who wants to take part, wants to go watch a game in a Texas wrestling match in somewhere in the middle of the state. And he escapes and he meets Shia LaBeouf's character and off they go on that journey. I kind of like want to talk about two really big sports films, one being Hoosiers, which is the basketball movie with Gene Hackman, where a school filled with 161 kids who beat and a rival school with about 16,000 kids in a 50s game. So like they're a legendary high school basketball team. That's one film. And the Miracle on Ice movie called Miracle about the US national team beating the USSR in the Olympics is another film. I maybe have seen as a child, but I don't remember. So I'm going to put that on the honorable list.
Also, when you mentioned Peanut Butter Falcon, again, another honorable mention which I want to keep it as an honorable mention and not dive into the movie is Wrestler, Aronofsky's Wrestler.
Yeah.
Because the movie is depressing as fuck. So let's not go there.
Yeah, this episode is about upliftment to a certain degree. So it's about like dude sports films. So $1 Million Baby also not on this list.
How about the Secretary? I think that's a very honorable mention.
It is because I have another film in the same category on this list, which I'm going to keep. Secretariat is we could keep as an honorable mention because there's another film in the same genre, and I think now everybody knows what my movie is, which I fucking love. So what we'll get to that in the best movie section. So I think we'll start, Sid, you being the guest. So we're gonna do this in 3 categories. The first being great films. These are not only good sports movies, they're great movies, right? And so a bunch of films will fall under this category. The second is what you would call your commercial blockbusters. These are like good films they're good films. They're not great, they're not bad. They're pretty good. The third category is ridiculous films that are so bad, but you love them regardless. Like you're just like, this movie makes no sense. It is over the top as hell. It's completely batshit crazy, but I love it. I don't care about it. I'm weirdly attached to it. So we're going to keep it to these 3 categories and dive into each sport and each kind of and the films under those categories, right? Sid, you're the guest, my dude. Please kick us off.
I think in the first bucket, whenever I think of sports movies, is my all-time favorite sports movie. That's Moneyball.
Like with Moneyball, to this day, I don't understand how baseball works, but I'll watch Moneyball every year. It's just, and I think that is a testament of how good it is. I'm not even talking about the real life implications of what change to the sport did for like not just baseball but football, like all sports in general. The introduction of sabermetrics.
I mean, you have this whole dynamic of nerds and sportsmen, right? This is one way where it's like, you know what? Nerds can come make even the sport world better. Like, yes, statistics and let's look at data analysis. I'm like, yes, this is my jam. I love Moneyball. So I think the one sport I played growing up was basketball. So again, there are a whole bunch of basketball movies, but the one I want to put in the great category is the recent Netflix movie starring Adam Sandler, which is Hustle. I generally like Adam Sandler a lot more when he's doing dramatic work, right? I'm not the target audience for his brand of humor. So I don't like that. But whenever he's done dramatic work, the thought I always have is, why don't you just do this if you're so good at it? I mean, the Uncut Gems and the Hustles of the world, why are you doing like, Jack and Jill and all that nonsense? So he's a talent scout for the 76ers who I think travels to Spain. And the player that he was originally there to scout, that whole deal sort of drops off, but he finds a different guy. Again, very fairy tale story. He finds him playing, those informal pickup games on a roadside court, and he sees potential there. And again, there's a fair bit of drama, and I'm not dismissing the drama. It is the quality of the drama which elevates this movie from good to great. Feels very believable. It's not your cliched, contrived, situations that you find in sports movies. It feels like something that could happen in real life. And what I love about, again, great performances across the board. But what I love about most of Adam Sandler's dramatic roles is in these kind of movies, he always plays a character who's sort of who's not won in life, who's had more losses than wins, right? And again, Hustle is exactly the same case. And I don't know, somehow he has an energy where you really root for him, right? And again, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it does lead to a nice and happy ending, and it's a great emotional payoff. You get a great payoff for rooting for him.
Like the movie is great by itself, but knowing what we know now, like Juancho Hernan Gomez, who plays the basketball player, and his antagonist Kermit, who essentially at this point in time is played by, you could say he's probably the next face of the NBA in Anthony Edwards. So, which is like for me, insane. Like
I want to disagree on that. I want to disagree on that. It's the number 77 today because he's the next face of the NBA.
yeah, but that again, that's a whole other conversation that I wanted to like. If we get into basketball, like politics, it'll be a whole other situation. But anyway, it's like Anthony Edwards, who kind of had comparisons to Michael Jordan, were like rife in the last 2 years or so. So everyone who watched Hustle was just like, I think this movie got it the wrong way. They should have like flipped the roles to that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just going to like piggyback on that point on your basketball film. And I also want to add a film that's on this list. It's not really a basketball film, but it's an incidental basketball movie. Also starring Adam Sandler.
What?
Take a guess.
What are the basketball films with Adam Sandler, bro? I don't know.
Wait, is this the one with no.
This his co-star is a literal basketball player.
Is the one with LeBron James in it?
Uncut Gems. You can't call it a sports. Okay, I mean
not-
betting,
oh
sports
my
betting
God.
movie. It's a sports betting.
I mean, it's like literally, it's like Kevin Garnett. I think the Celtics, the 2012 playoffs. I think or it's based on a 2012 game. Kevin Garnett literally plays himself, and it's like the loosest definition of a sports film, but this is one of the times I've been the most uncomfortable in a movie theater where nobody has died on screen. It's just one man making one bad decision after the other, somehow getting away with it, and then choosing to make and then still continuing down that path regardless. What a fucking film! Again, the basketball aspect is a huge tension because the sports betting aspect of it is huge. There's this man who's like constantly putting it down on the line, putting like his entire life savings at some point on the line just to get that hit. Adam Sandler plays this role to fucking perfection. This is the other side of the hustle coin. No, in hustle, he's more like a downtrodden, withdrawn guy. In Uncut Gems, he's like this all the top. He's like he is always chasing that high. That next high for him is the most important. Great fucking character piece. I think it deserves its own episodes. I won't go more into it. But this is my cheat code to say great basketball movie.
I mean, this is not allowed. But I have a couple of not basketball. The other sport that I want to cover, which I think there are two good movies here, are the racing genre, right? The first of which is Rush, and in fact, in earlier episodes, I don't remember which one. I have sort of made this case where I feel Rush is on paper a perfect movie. This is a movie where
Great movie.
pick any aspect of a film, right? Story, acting, screenplay, music, direction, cinematography. There is no weakness in the movie. I don't know why it wasn't nominated for anything. I don't know why it is not held in much higher regard. It is actually a perfect movie. And like the soundtrack, Hans Zimmer has just knocked it out of the park. Daniel Brühl is amazing as Niki Lauda. And of course, Chris Hemsworth is amazing as James Hunt as well. The story is so compelling, and at that point, I didn't know. In retrospect, when I found out, at the end of the movie, you find out it actually came down to the single point, and it was such a close race. Obviously, now you have the 2021 season of F1, which is possibly as crazy as 1976 season was. But up until that point, I was like, wow, like this actually happened. As an F1 fan in 76, your mind would have been blown to see these two guys go, put everything on the line. The only other season, like I said, that is comparable is the 2021 season, where you could see Verstappen and Hamilton. They were ready to die for it, right? Which was similar to the 76 season. And yes, it was a dramatic season. Like the incident in real life was dramatic, but it has been put to cinema, or it has been put to screen so well. There are so many. I love the scene where Niki Lauda meets his wife for the first time, and those two fans, and he shows, she tells him, yeah, why don't you show me how you can drive? I'm like, bro, this is such a flex moment, dude. Such a flex moment. It's awesome. It's such a feel good movie, right? It's not just feel good. It just evokes so many emotions in you. I love watching the movie. This is one of my more rewatchable movies, and I just love this.
I think even the
Speaking
last
of-
line of
of
the
other-
movie, not.
Oh yeah.
When he says he's the only man I ever envied.
He was one of the few men I respected. One of even fewer that I like. Is the only
I
man
like
that I ever envied.
Envied. Yeah, my God, what a line.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'm getting goosebumps now. Beautiful.
Try to remember
A
rewatch.
quick mention. Yeah, 100% came for a rewatch. Definitely gonna do that. A quick mention of another great movie in a similar genre is the Ford versus Ferrari movie that came out
I just want to bring it up.
2022.
Hmm.
Yeah, James Mangold. Again, a really nice story based on real events. I'm guessing slight with a bit of embellishment. In essence, the story of how the Ferrari hegemony over the Le Mans was effectively broken by Ford, who hired Matt Damon and Christian Bale's character. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting their names. To sort of, I mean, Matt Damon obviously played Shelby. Yes, I'm forgetting Christian Bale's character's name. Ken Mines. To come up with what would essentially become the Shelby Cobra in due course, and to sort of uh, give Ferrari a viable challenge. Again, how do I put it? Right, the racing aspect of it, yes, it is important, but it's also it gives you a peek of how things work in a racing team, right? And especially when you come from I'm again forgetting the exact term, but when you have you're a racing team of a car manufacturer, there are bigger dynamics at play because
All work.
there's a lot more politics. Wall Street, yes. So there's a lot more politics at play, and it's very fascinating to get that outlook as well, right? And somehow James Mangold manages to make workplace politics very interesting. And again, Christian Bale's portrayal of Ken Mines is amazing. He really represents that confident everyman who just is really good at his craft, right? No riffraff, no flash, nothing. He just knows his craft really well, and he's putting his own life on the line in his belief that he knows what he's doing, right? So great, and again, great payoff at the end. A great bit of drama, very engrossing film. Maybe not as rewatchable as Rush. It's a little heavier. Rush is in a nice way, a little more popcorny, but again, a great movie in and of itself.
Like, I love Ford vs Ferrari as well. I think it's a movie that just picks along. It doesn't stop. You are never bored, or you're never like it never gives you a moment to sit down and breathe. It'll maybe slows down for just a few seconds before coming back up again. And I remember watching 2019, I think is when it came out, because I remember when I watched this in the US. And the theater was just in rapt attention. And James Mangold, I think, is why he's a great fucking director. But it's so you can tell there's a little bit of spiciness involved with the whole Enzo Ferrari's involvement in Le Mans, and it's built up to have some sort of dramatic tension, with all of them crossing the line at the same time. That did happen, but the reasons behind it and all of that jazz. But I really love the film. It's a film that I can enjoy, my dad can enjoy, and these are great, and that's probably the greatest compliment I can give it. It's for everybody, and it's a extremely watchable film, a really good watchable film, I'd say. Okay, small change of scenery, guys. Internet issues. So back in the study, and hopefully I don't melt this by the time this episode is done. That's the aim. So quickly, we just want to get into the other two films that I have on this list before we move to the next category. The first being 2004 Seabiscuit. Now, I'm not sure. Have you guys watched Seabiscuit?
I have, yes.
Do you like Seabiscuit? I fucking because it's a movie nice or dog.
Yeah. I love Seabiscuit. I mean, it's a great underdog movie. And it's a little beyond just being an underdog, right? I think it talks about how you don't give up on broken things, right? It's not just an underdog movie. It's a movie about second chances. It's a movie about taking a bet on somebody that the rest of the world probably does not. Again, a lot of underlying themes that all of us can very easily relate to, right? In each of our own internal stories that we build around our life, at some point or the other, we put ourselves as the underdog, right? We put ourselves in a situation where we feel we overcome some sort of adversity to get what we want. So it's very easy to slip into, to insert yourself in that story. Maybe as Jeff Bridges' character who's taking a bet where nobody is. maybe as Tobey Maguire's character, who comes with his own baggage, but is able to finds a kindred spirit in Seabiscuit, surprisingly enough, and builds on that. Again, many characters to love, many ways in which you can relate to the film. Sorry, I hijacked your speed
No,
of
no, it's fine.
Seabiscuit, but
You,
yeah,
you're basically telling me like, yeah, at the fact I love the film. There are aspects of it I still carry through forward to this day, and the most important being the early aspect where Jeff Bridges' character, I forget his name, oh dear God, uh, Howard something, and he's essentially a cycle shop like owner, right? He runs a store for like bicycles, and a guy with a car shows up and says, "Can you help me fix this issue?" And he says, let me figure it out," which is so much of like my life and my career at this point, where people have come to me with a problem and I've just looked at it and gone, okay, cool, I think I can figure this out. And a lot of it stems from Seabiscuit. Like if I had a starting point to when I became this person, this is the movie. And I think it has it has one of the most uplifting sequences, like a sports sequence of all time, right? Which is when the Seabiscuit has the race between Seabiscuit and War Admiral, where he talks about getting him in line and then seeing him off. The entire sequence is pure euphoria. Like I watch it now and I still get goosebumps. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I absolutely love that film. The third film is a movie that came out last year, and probably it has the argument for the best shot in a sports movie ever. And that is 2024's Challengers, directed by Luca Guadagnino, starring Zendaya. It's essentially about three tennis players. It's about three tennis players and their journey from junior tennis to the pros, and how all their lives change. Their lives change up to that point. It is a movie filled with very bad people. I'd say there's nobody in this film is fully, you'd never call anybody this character in this film a good person. They're all assholes in their own way. And watching assholes deal with other assholes on screen in the midst of a sporting event is, in my opinion, cinematic gold. Great fucking soundtrack. It works in the film. It can also work in the club. So if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. It's such a fun time.
I haven't. I think a lot of people were missold the film with the trailer, right? It's probably one of the biggest cock teases in the last few decades, this movie. People went in expecting, and with Luca Guadagnino's,
Track record.
what do I say? Track record. That's the phrase I was looking for. The sort of movies he's made. People were like, okay, let's go. And then
People expected Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
Yeah.
exactly. And it did not pan out from what I've heard in the reviews. Again, I'm yet to watch this film. I do want to, but at least I want to go in for the right reasons, right? I want to be aware what to expect, which I thankfully do now. One more film which I do want to sneak in. I'm amazed none of us brought this up. Coming back home a little bit, right? We have to include Lagaan. I mean, how can we not talk about cricket movies, right? And I would say, yeah, Lagaan is probably the definitive Indian sports movie so far. I mean, Chak De is a close second for me, but think of Indian sports movie, Lagaan is the first name that comes to mind. Again, tremendous staying power, right? Kachra khelega is something we still use in like regular day-to-day situations. Stuff like many memorable scenes, great performances, amazing music. Teen Guna Lagan, yeah, so much staying power in the, I mean, in the cultural zeitgeist.
In the cultural side, yeah, of course. Just we had to put that in. Now, I think we're all old enough to remember when we first watched this movie in theaters. So you will know what the movement it was, right? Like Lagan in
Yeah.
2000, when it was in theaters, how mad people were going for it, and the Oscar campaign, and just how the entire country had united, hoping that it would win the Oscar. It's like it's essentially small town. Like it's such an unbelievable premise, right? A small town, a group of ragtag individuals decide to take on the British Empire on the condition that if they beat them in a game of cricket, the British Empire will leave the village. Like, even in your wildest dreams, the British Empire would never hedge their bets on a game of cricket, right? like colonial rule happened for like 200, 300 years, and I don't think at any point they said, let's just all give it up for a game of cricket.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
so
even if it's just to give that village up. I mean, if you really dig, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny, right? If you really sit down, I'm like, hey, how did this actually work, right? Did they not take that? It's like, hey, don't just watch the movie. Don't get into the semantics. It's just a fun watch, but it's an amazing, and like you said, right? I think we all remember where we were when we watched it for the first time, which theater, who we went to it. It is etched into, it's almost like a core memory. It's etched into a. Any other movies in the great category, or should we move to the goods?
I have one final, and I realize I'd forgotten about this, and I need to, because we haven't spoken about football in general, and I think the great, not goal, the great football movie of our times, and again, it's more of a character study than it is about a football. It's about a manager. It's called The Damned United,
Damn the night.
starring Michael Sheen, and it's about Brian Clough and his 40 days at Leeds United. So Brian Clough, who was with Derby County, brought them up from the second division. Great manager, had a huge rivalry with the then Leeds United manager Don Revie. And Don Revie, I think, left to go coach the England national team. And Leeds signed Brian Clough as the manager. And they had a famously hated rivalry. Like, Brian Clough could not stand Leeds United for the way they played. And the movie flits back and forth between his time with Derby County as well as his current issues at Leeds United, and how he has and the power struggles he's facing up with. Really nice film. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly implore you check it out. It's written by the writer of The Crown, Peter Morgan. So if you like that kind of storytelling, definitely up there. Yeah, and I think that should bookend this particular category. So let's quickly move on to which I think this genre probably occupies the biggest chunk of sports films, where you're like, I had a good time with it. I quite enjoyed it. So this is that category. Sid, once again, you've been the guest. Please kick us off to it.
I have a whole bunch of feel good movies, man. I genuinely watch sports movies for the feel good factor. Like, I would throw in Coach Carter as well in this movie.
Yeah.
Again, Samuel L. Jackson has played a real. I mean, his role in this movie, I think, one of the best that he's played. When he's not an agent or some commander or what have you. There is Field of Dreams from the baseball side of things.
I argue this is probably top 5 best feel good movies of all time.
Yeah, I think one of the best movies that I've watched in terms of feel good movies. Plus the way the movie was set up, I think a really good one. Draft Day is something that I like as well. Again, another feel good movie where he's the underdog. He's living in the shadow of his father, and with one draft, literally changes the. I mean, he tried to change the
Fate of the Cleveland Browns. No, I have this movie in the third category where it's so ridiculous, but you can't help but watch. Purely because of the climax and of the draft choices that they make, which we won't get into in this episode. Yeah. I implore you, even if you have like the most minimalist knowledge of the American drafting system, you watch this movie you're like, I have a saying, it's like, that's bullshit, but that's so fucking cool. This film is the epitome of that, right? It is just pure nonsense, but it's so feel good. Like, that's why I had it in the third category. But yeah, go on.
I think Invincible, the one of Volleyball plays.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's a real life story, by the way, where he's literally the Philadelphia Eagles need a wide receiver, and they put it out in the local newspaper. They put out an ad saying, if you have ever played any sort of football in any, right from PV football all the way till college football, come and try out for us. And he gets the chance to play for his dream football team. That's a great movie. Another one is Home Team, which is basically the story of Sean Payton, who was the coach of the New Orleans Saints. So basically, it's a story. So he gets suspended 1 year by the NFL because apparently he tried to injure the opponent's player. So he has a 1 year suspension from the NFL. So he goes back to his hometown to reconnect with his son, who doesn't like him because he's obviously in Louisiana and his family is in Texas. So he goes back and he coaches his son's football team, who have a pathetic record. And it's a really, really nice movie. It's a nice family movie that you can watch with your kids. Great, again, a great feel-good movie. And I think the last feel-good movie that I think it's a nice movie is MS Dhoni. I know it's definitely not in the great category, and it's definitely not in the absurd category, but I think it's again a nice movie, well made. I think you can put that MS Dhoni and 83 sort of in the same basket from an Indian movie standpoint. And Chak De India, I guess.
Chak De, I think, yeah, Chak De kind of, for me, lies in the upper bracket purely because I think it's a good movie that I just don't see being remade.
Yeah, Chak De, it's like you said, right? I would put it in it's somewhere between good and great, right? It's, I don't know. I mean, it's one of the better sports films that have come out. One of the more subdued Shah Rukh performances as well, which goes a long way towards making the film watchable. And coming to the one point I sort of wanted to make on one of the movies you mentioned, which is Coach Carter. Again, I think I was very young when I first watched it.
It was an HBO watch.
It was an HBO watch. We all watched on HBO. And the scene where Samuel Jackson explains the origin of the N-word term to the kids, why it has a pejorative context and where it came from. Again, that was the first time I had heard of not just the word and where it comes from, right?
Yeah, it's same as well, because up until this point, it wasn't in our history textbooks. It wasn't. I mean, we were focused on Indian independence, and we knew of the war. We knew of Abraham Lincoln. We knew about him abolishing slavery, Battle of Gettysburg, and everything. But we didn't know the origins of the word, right? And then I think Coach Carter was probably the first time you're like, oh shit, yes.
And I like the message he ends that scene with, right? It's like, hey, we don't respect each other. How can you expect respect? I'm like, that sound logic makes sense to me. And that's something I've tried to imbibe to whatever extent I can, right? Like, if I'm going to put myself down in public, nobody's going to give me the time of day. You have to stand up for yourself, otherwise nobody's going to come to your aid. Right? That's the one message from the movie that sort of stuck with me, and I think it's sort of been a part of how I conduct myself. So unexpectedly, of all places, Coach Carter has had that sort of impact on my life, which is why I always fondly remember the film. But one more here, guys. Where do we put Space Jam? Does it fall in good?
It's the last, and it's the third category.
It's last.
It's the last category.
Okay. I think we need to talk about Goal then. Or does Goal also fall in the last category?
No. Goal, I think, is probably this category. I feel like Goal is somewhere in between this and the third category.
Yeah, because Goal is like utter wish fulfillment, right? It's a fucking fairy tale from start to finish. But you're like, everyone who's ever played or watched, I haven't, but I'm sure if you guys have grown up watching football, it's essentially your dream being played on life, right? You got discovered, and you then got sent to, what team does he play for? Newcastle. Yeah. You play for, so it's not even like straight off the bat he's playing for Man U, right? They've shown it logically. He's in Newcastle, which is still upper echelon at that time at work.
If that movie happened now, it wouldn't be reality. It would be Siddhave's asking me for Man United first.
Oh my god. Yeah, what? Good point. Good point.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Is it this movie or the second one where he goes to the Real Madrid? Second one.
That's Goal 2 I have in the third category. This is
At that point I'm like, bro, please. This has to end sometime.
it has only one realistic thing, but I'll get to it in that third category. Everything else about that film is extremely over the top, right? But I really enjoy Goal. This is a movie it's a scout who discovers this
poor illegal immigrant Mexican kid in LA, sends it to Newcastle. He has a hard time fitting in there.
Yeah, I mean, can't you understand what they're saying? The Geordies, how are you going to like fit in?
Apparently, Adidas put 60 million into this film. So they kind of 30 to 60 million they funded this movie. So this, and it explains a lot, which is why they have a lot of the Adidas stars in there. Raul is there, Zidane is there, Beckham is there. So and again, supremely feel good. You can tell that the actors have never played football in their lives. Their control is all over the place. They look like me playing football, but again, supremely feel good. And I think this is a weird case of reality imitating art, because in 2021, Newcastle United signed a player from Mexico called Santiago Munoz, which was insane, right? So
They knew what they were doing.
yeah, they were like, oh, Santiago Munoz is in the Newcastle team. He never played. I think he was there for a loan and then he went back.
Yes, that's for the memes. That's it.
Like, I think
I remember I was watching when I was watching Ted Lasso's third season, when we have Pep Guardiola making an appearance, right? People were talking about, oh, how did they get Pep? I'm like, bro, this has been done 20 years ago. Goal had a whole bunch of people on screen 20 years. This is not new at all. Right. Now let's move on to the trashy category.
no, I have to add
But I
some
have
to
a few
like,
more. Sorry.
I have a few more to this category. So I think this movie, as between the ages of 5 to 9, was very influential in my life, and it made me want to get this. It's a cycling movie, and I am talking about 1992's Jeeta, Wohi, Sikandar, which is is an Amir Khan star, and it's about cycling, and extremely over the top film, but made me fall in love with geared cycles, because I thought if you had a geared cycle, you could do pretty much anything in the world. And the movie has not aged particularly well, but I think it's still a great sports film. It's great, kind of uplifting, even though there are scenes in the film where Amir Khan is drifting down Kodaikanal and suddenly he's at Bangalore Palace, which is for me insane. But it's a film that is very much a snapshot of my life as a 6-7 year old. So I really enjoy that film.
I don't know how they managed to make cycling seem like, high stakes, riveting watch. Uh, I mean, let's be real, right? I mean, Tour de France, all that cool. Who is sitting and watching cycling?
Literally all as children.
Let's get real. And there are scenes where the entire college is cheering at the end of the race, right? The final race, they're all cheering. I'm like, bro, nobody gives a shit. People have other things to do. This is not happening in real life. Please.
And my final addition to this list is, I think, a film everyone loves. It was probably the most common suggested movie in our questionnaire that we'd asked on Instagram. And that was Remember the Titans. 2002's Remember the Titans, starring Denzel Washington as a coach who I think essentially brings together the first inclusive football team, right? It's set in a time where segregation has been abolished. So, like, this is one of the first schools to include black and white players in the same team. That's the premise of the film. And it's pure popcorn fare. I think it's a movie that we've all watched in some capacity or the other. It's got everyone emotional in some way or the other. No, I think it's time to move to the final category, the most fun category of this lot, which is the trashy films, but we love them regardless. Please, kick us off. What is your go-to trashy sports film?
Since we've decided to put Space Jam in this category, I'm reluctantly sort of adding, but you're right. I mean, maybe it's nostalgia that's making me feel that this movie was better than it is. If I look at
nostalgia making you feel that way, it's Space Jam 2 that's making you feel that way. Space Jam 2 is
it's hot garbage.
yeah.
If I look at even Space Jam with an objective eye today, it's trashy. There's no other way to put it. Like cartoon characters and you have good cartoons and bad cartoons, and in between you have Michael Jordan for some reason, for marketing reasons, of course. And I'm like, what coke-addled dream led to this movie being made? Right? How did this concept come in anyone's mind?
Given, like, we look at it as this very happy, nice, bouncy film, but the behind the scenes of this movie was quite intense after having watched The Last Dance. When Michael Jordan has come back from the retirement, he's lost in the Eastern Conference semis, or is it the finals? They've lost to the Orlando Magic. He's gone to Warner Brothers and said, okay, I'll shoot your goddamn movie. You build me a gym because I need to get back into shape because I want to win the championship again. And so he's going psycho behind the scenes while also playing, while also like shooting about 7 to 8 hours a day. So I look at the film as a testament to who Michael Jordan is or was at that time, because he was a complete fucking psychopath. And I still love the film. I love it still boggles my mind that Charles Barkley, as with Patrick Ewing, they all gave away their powers to the monsters. I don't think you would have, to a certain degree, I guess, like when LeBron with Dame Lillard, with AD, they kind of give their powers away in the second movie. But such a strange situation given how competitive the league was back then. But fun time, man. I can't argue. It's a fun time, and that stupid dunk at the end is one that sticks in memory.
What other trashy movies do you guys want to talk about?
Can I say one?
Please, yeah.
Again, this is one of my personal favorite trashy movies that I would watch over and over again. It's a Hindi movie, Dhan Dhan Gol.
John Abraham, Arshad Warsi.
And
Oh, Iraq is a dude named Sunny. Remember this? They play for what? Southall United? Is this the
Southall United.
Yeah, which is like a knockoff, and it's so silly and it's so over the top. But kind of, there's some issues it addresses about racism in English football and along those lines. And a disgraced coach. It's a stupid film, but it's still such a weirdly feel good movie. It's a very bad movie. I don't know if you haven't seen it, but you definitely need to watch it.
I haven't. Isn't this the one where Arshad Warsi looks like Carlos Tevez?
Yes,
he does. Yes,
yes, he does.
I've never seen him with long hair. I'm like, what is
have to
happening?
watch it? Okay, Rohit, you have to watch it, but keep in mind this movie came out like in 2005 or 2004. So when they take them to the Man United dressing room, United were actually good back then.
Oh yeah, I forgot they do that. Yeah. They go as like some stadium tour. They take these kids.
Yeah, they go on. So they lose a game, and then the coach literally drives them from the stadium that they lost. They overnight. They drive all the way and reach Old Trafford, and he takes them on a stadium tour and says, "Look at these guys. Look at the things around you. This is the home."
And no security, nothing. Like you can just anybody can walk into. Or
It's not like basically they reach at 6 a.m. but they enter it like normal, like
okay,
you and you enter it like right, like a museum tour sort of a thing. And then he takes them inside the Man United dressing room, and there's Evra and Ronaldo and Rudy and Jisung Park and a whole bunch of people there, right? And and then he's like, and then there's a mirror.
They have not left their jerseys there.
Yeah, the jerseys and the photos. The photos are there too. And then he points them at a mirror in the dressing room and says, "Dekho apne shakle." And is this the face of champions? Okay, and
dude, to continue the joke, if the movie were made today, Man U players would be taken to South Hollywood. Tell Arshad Warsi, John Abraham, and he's like, yeah, I have to pick up like Garnacho or somebody. Like, look yourself in the mirror. Why can't you play like Arshad Warsi? Oh my god. His recurring joke is this is the best call, one of the best callbacks we've done in this podcast.
But staying with football, unrealistic movies, Goal 2, I think, falls into this category. But Santiago Munez goes to Real Madrid, and the most unbelievable set of events happened right up to the end of the movie where they were in a Champions League final with Arsenal. And then here's the most realistic thing that happens in the entire movie. Arsenal lose the Champions League final, and you're like, okay, this movie is grounded in reality.
Isn't who's the guy who plays his friend and teammate? Alessandro Nivola plays the other character.
Yeah, Gavin Harris.
More unconvincing footballer ever, dude.
I mean, I think another honorable mention. I don't know if you can call it a sports movie though. I think we missed out on it. Is Air, the story of how Air Jordan's came up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you want to classify it as a sports movie. Yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah. I liked the whole conceit of never showing Michael Jordan's face. It was very nice.
Yeah.
Because
It was done by
who didn't
design,
get to
right?
play fucking Jordan, right? So they just decided, let's not show him at all. Very nice.
You know, there's another really trashy, great sports film is the 1999, I think. Oliver Stone directed Any Given Sunday, starring Al Pacino, Dennis Quaid, Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, LL Cool J. This movie is stacked, okay? And it, in essence, is about a sports team that is a great mythical franchise that is losing. Yeah, I mean, within the first 5 minutes of watching this movie, and with the little minimal knowledge I have of the NFL, I know this movie is a take on Dallas Cowboys. This is essentially the Dallas Cowboys, and maybe 4 years removed from their championship at the time, but it's so over the top. Like a man's eyeball is on the pitch. There is like it again starts with the team quarterback getting injured, and like the team quarterback's replacement also gets injured. So the third choice quarterback, played by Jamie Foxx, comes on, and he becomes essentially the star of the team. It has, without doubt, the greatest halftime speech in a sports film ever. Like, people use this in dramatics class and shit. It's Al Pacino just going, like, taking off, right? And it's a speech where he talks about how life is all a matter of inches and how you all fight for it. And it's just, I know, Rohit, you country bastard. I know why you're laughing also.
Yeah, it just matters, bro.
Yeah, of course. So, and it's just about it's very over the top. It feels like a fever dream at times because Oliver Stone is doing Oliver Stone things, but you should check it out if you haven't seen it. It's I think there is a line in the movie where Jamie Foxx's character is called Willie Beeman, and he's shooting a commercial where they say Willie B. Beeman, he gets the girl screaming, and it's just so strange.
Wow.
another mention for
Yes,
trashy but a good watch is Happy Gilmore.
of course.
Yes.
Yes.
And in
You know what, some
the
people-
same vein, even Longest Yard, if
The
films are going
Yard as well. Yeah.
Adam Sandler, yeah. The remake. Mean Machine. Mean Machine is a terrible movie, but every time it's on, I'm like, hey, I'll watch it for at least 20, 30 minutes. I'll just watch. It's fine.
You could put Days of Thunder in here, which is the 1990 Tom Cruise film, where he goes, I feel the need for speed, and a franchise was born. And a franchise was born. That's another also like trashy but fun time starring him and Nicole Kidman.
Sorry, I've only watched Sala Rampang.
So, yeah, that's another trashy sports film. Yeah, I think I've more or less.
No, you were mentioning Green Street Hooligans, which I would not put in trashy. It's actually a good film.
It could make a case for the first basket if you ask.
Yes. Retrospectively, I would like to add it there. It is a sports movie, but it's about the periphery of sport, and it's a great dive into what sort of people get drawn to this world, right? Where it's on the outside, it's so stupid, right? This bunch of people, you're not even playing. We're just going and beating each other up. How is your identity tied in such a perverse way with the club you support, right? And this movie almost makes you sympathize with them by the end. Like they are fuckheads, but I sort of get why they're fuckheads. It's
But you do know that it's based off of reality, right?
it's the West Ham. I mean, even in the movie, they're the West.
Yeah, I mean, basically, no, not just that. I mean, the entire hooliganism part,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
based
yeah.
in reality. It's not something that is fiction.
Yeah,
It still happens to this day. Like, there's a reason that certain games are played in the afternoon, certain games are played at certain times, is because of this.
yeah. No, because and I mean, there's a lot of paranoia. I don't know if that's the right word about making sure that Brits don't get their hands on alcohol or before certain games, right? So
Even like so, Brits are not like when certain countries host like the World Cup or Euros, they don't let Brits into their bar.
yeah. And imagine having such a terrible situation there.
Where India's
The entire
is
nation.
talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We are at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, great shout there, Robin.
Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this up?
No.
Yeah, I think we've covered a whole bunch of movies across a whole bunch of sport types, and as much of a classification as we could do for the myriad movies that we've covered. I think this is as good a way as we could do it.
Yeah, I know. This is the most cohesive way we could put this episode together. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun in the editing section, not just because the movies, but also because we have all had internet issues in some capacity or the other in this episode. So it's going to be a fever dream. When I get this out, I'm going to like probably open a can like a beer and just be like, oh, I'm just taking the week up. Goodbye, everybody.
Take
But,
the Oliver Stone approach.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, guys, that's the end. Thank you for coming on. Sid, thanks for coming on, dude. I know it's a hectic. It's a Friday night. 2 kids is not easy. So thanks for taking the time.
Happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, so much. Always a fun time. And of course, Rohit, thanks, dude. I know this is a little past your bedtime, early bird child. So
Yeah, no, but I mean, even though I don't watch football, just to come in and shit on Manchester United is always fun. I always have time for that.
it's okay. I imagine
Join the queue.
Yeah, join the queue. We're all.
So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I in fact I told Amin before we started recording, I don't know how much I'll be able to contribute because not too many sports movies I watch, but I was able to hold my own. I think you guys made it feel a little more inclusive for me, so this is a lot of fun, and we should definitely do something again.
Yeah, I think we should probably, when we deep dive one of these films in the future, we'll bring the band back together. And the Christmas movie special, which we need to talk Sid World to be on, we will make it happen this year. This year, it's on my
Hey, you can call me
my
for
God.
any finance related movies too.
Done. When we do the big shot, we'll call it.
Not just that, there's so many others.
Yeah, so
The Margin Call,
Sure.
Wall
Margin Call.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, Wolf is
Yeah, actually, we're not a bad dude. Yeah, and I'm saying this is about
Quite a few. I can send you an entire list of them.
done. Please, by all means, man. We so Rohit and I just like at this point we're freewheeling topics. So please,
no, some planning would be nice.
yeah. We're not that bad also, I think about it. Like we have a set of like episodes coming. But anyway, that's us. If you made it so far and you've enjoyed it, please like the video. Please subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow. If you hate Manchester United as much as we do, tell them to fuck off because we hate them as well. Leave a thumbs up if you hate Manchester United. Even if you're a United fan, leave 2 thumbs up so we'll know it's you. And until then, take care. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.